everybody. I am grateful to be here with you guys today. It's live at noon on Tuesday, and today's topic is something that I'm really hoping will serve you. And welcome to who's ever here. I think that might be Charlotte. Hello, Charlotte. Welcome. I am really honored to be here today to share with you this topic about bringing more self-acceptance and more self-love into your life. I'm really hoping that this is going to help you bring more love into your life, not less. So I want to start out by asking you a few questions. So do you ever feel like your worth and value comes from being productive? Or do you ever feel like if you're not busy, you're not feeling worthwhile or valuable? And do you ever feel guilty for taking time for yourself? And I'm wondering if you can relate to being a human doing, not a human being. So if you can relate to that at all, just put a like in the comments or something if you know what I'm talking about, because I've experienced that quite a bit, and that's what I want to talk about today, is shifting from being a human doing to being a human being. And I hope you'll stay on till the end, because I want to share this simple tool with you that is going to help bring more self-acceptance, more love into your life right away. So, so this idea of human being versus human doing. I have struggled with this a lot in my life, and I didn't even realize how much I struggled with it until I left my job last year. So for the last 30 years, up until last year, I always worked full time, almost always. I had a desk job. I had so many things to do. I was very busy. I was very task oriented. I always had something to make me feel kind of, important, I guess. Because I was always busy. And this last year, as I've transitioned to being at home and being a full-time entrepreneur, it's really caused me to examine my identity in work. And it's just been so interesting. When I first left the job, I was like, you know what, I'm going to give myself a few months off to just relax. And then I kind of was like giving that space to myself, and it was fine. But once the first of the year started this year, I was like, okay, I got to get busy. And so I started developing my business and growing my business through speaking to people in person, in groups. And I was excited to grow my business that way. And then COVID hit, so all of those got canceled. So combination, I think, of being home now for the first time, full time in many, many years, as well as COVID hitting and us being, required to stay at home, was really hard for me. It was really hard for me to just have all this time alone, have all this time to myself, all this time without distractions to be like thinking, it's like without all the distractions of being busy, I had all this time to think. And I'm wondering if any of you guys have felt that during COVID, like with more time to yourself and more time inside, if it's gotten you to kind of, you notice that your head is kind of like judging you a lot, and at least mine does. I think under stressful situations, I kind of go to this place of being hard on myself. And so, it was a couple months ago that I was going to a Labyrinth, which is a meditative tool I use regularly. There's a beautiful place in Laguna Niguel where I go. You go to this top of this botanical garden and you walk this labyrinth. And I always feel much more grounded and centered and peaceful when I do that. And as I got to the middle of that, hi Yvette, so good to see you. As I got to the middle of that labyrinth, I really felt like I was kind of like, I wasn't feeling that good that day, and I was just feeling kind of antsy and not feeling my best, and not really knowing what it was. And this it just came to me that I was focusing so much on being productive and I was being so hard on myself. And I think, growing up in my family, I was taught the value of hard work, and that's all very good, right? And it wasn't like, to the extreme. I mean, our family was a normal American family, just kind of like the rest of our culture, where we value hard work, we value, getting things done and all of that. But I think I didn't realize how attached I was to being a human doing until I left my job last year, right? I didn't realize how much of my worth and value came from that. And I think this COVID experience, the combination of leaving my job, having all this time at home, and then this COVID experience has really been almost like the perfect opportunity for me to look at these messages that I'm telling myself about being a human doing and really see how true they are. I feel like God, source, universe, whatever word you want to call it, is like giving me this opportunity to be okay with just being me, just being with me, just being me without doing a lot, and just knowing my worth and value, and that I don't have to do so much, that I don't have to drive so hard, that I can actually be in this present moment, enjoy what's happening right now, even in this COVID experience, enjoy the time with my family, enjoy the time that I get to walk in nature, and just being in that present moment, So I've really been realizing, coming face to face with this belief of, oh, wow, am I worthwhile only when I'm productive and doing something and, I have something to show for it? No, I'm learning that I am perfect, whole, and complete just as I am, that my worth and value comes from being a child of God. And I'm made in the image of God. I'm one with God. That is where my worth comes from. It's not from all the things that I do, Now, last week, Yvette and I were having a lovely chat. Yvette, you're watching. I'm so glad you're here. We were having a lovely chat about your worth and value. And Yvette was sharing so many amazing scriptures that I believe are true, with a capital T. I said, the things that we know for sure that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, that we're made in the image of God, these things that the Bible tells us. But I don't know about you, I notice sometimes that even though I've grown up hearing these verses and I've heard that God loves me unconditionally and all that kind of stuff, we don't always appropriate that love towards ourselves. Like, we believe that we're loved unconditionally, but then we'll turn around, or I know for myself that I could turn around and say the completely opposite thing to myself, right? So my self-talk, is it the same as what God's saying about me? I notice sometimes that I do just the opposite. I will judge myself, be hard on myself. So I'm curious if any of you guys can relate to that. I'm curious if you can relate to knowing certain things, but then turning around and still telling yourself something that's maybe not so helpful, So the last week, I've been rereading a book that I love. It's by an author named Matt Kahn. And the book is called Whatever Arises, Love That. And the book really teaches you how to love yourself, and whatever is arising in you, however you're feeling, whatever you're doing, whatever you're struggling with, to love that. And he says repeatedly in the book that whenever you're struggling with anything, that we deserve more love, not less. And I don't know about you, but I tend to do the opposite sometimes. I tend to be hard on myself, especially when I'm in a stressful situation and it's kind of a new situation for me. I think my default mode is to go to being hard on myself, which, I don't know, somehow I guess I think that if I'm hard on myself and I push myself, that somehow I'll be able to fix it or correct whatever's wrong, But actually, from experience, I've learned that that actually doesn't make me feel any better. It just makes me feel worse. Matt Kahn, in his book, he when he talks about our self-talk, he says, if it's not the way you would talk to a child in need, it shouldn't be the way you talk to yourself. So I love that. Thinking about how we talk to ourselves, being like we would talk to a child. Do we talk that nicely to ourselves? You know? So, like I said, now that I'm home a lot, don't have a full-time job that I go to, COVID, all that stuff. I've had a lot of time alone, a lot of time to myself. I'm not as busy or distracted, and my self-talk isn't always that nice. And I know that my self-talk has a direct impact on how I feel and then what I do and how I show up. So again, I'm starting to see and thank God that maybe this time of quarantine is like the perfect opportunity for me to learn, you know, just how to be good with me just as I am. And even though I'm not as busy before, to know that I'm enough, that I'm valuable, worthwhile enough. And I'm learning to accept myself in this moment with everything that I'm experiencing, that all the change to the schedule, you know, the change in my career, all of that, just accepting all that is, being in the moment with it and loving it. So I'm just curious if any of you guys can relate to anything that I'm saying. I really love your feedback and your comments. You know, I'm wondering if you resist what is. Do you ever find yourself resisting where you're at in life, you know? Or are you being hard on yourself? Or are you pushing yourself, you know? And all of that, I feel like I'm learning is an opportunity to love ourselves more and not less. So I want to share with you a simple exercise that I've learned, and I hope that this will be helpful for you. So when I notice something's not feeling right inside, and I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling good, it's probably something I'm telling myself. So I like to take some time to be still and be quiet and just start to breathe slowly. And you can do this with me now if you want. Just notice what it is that you're feeling. Notice where you're feeling it in your body. So notice your emotions and also notice where you feel it in your body. And then just send love to each emotion, to each part of your body that feels any discomfort or dis-ease. Just keep breathing and sending love to that part of the body. Speak to yourself as you would that child in need. Loving each emotion, each part of you. Know that you are perfect, whole, and complete just as you are. Rest in the fact that you are enough, that you are loved, that you are valuable. You matter. You're valuable as a human being, not because you're a human doing, just being you. So just breathe into all of that and just knowing that you are worthwhile, you are valuable, you are loved, you matter, just as you are right in this moment. One thing that I notice as I do this kind of an exercise is that when I move into kind of a place of self-acceptance, I find myself being able to be really productive. It's kind of ironic, right? That as I move into that place of self-acceptance, suddenly the energy comes, I feel relaxed, the inspiration comes, the creativity comes, and it's not easy. excuse me, it's not hard. It feels easy, right? I feel like it's flowing, right? And as I just relax into being me in this present moment, loving me and knowing I'm loved, that just everything I need is going to come to me in that moment, and that I can be productive, and I will have the energy to do what I need to do. So I just want to encourage you guys to take some time to love yourself, embrace yourself, just where you're at. Embrace yourself in this moment. See how you feel in this moment. And how does that, as you feel into or love and embrace just who you are in this present moment, I'm just wondering how that changes how you feel, how that's going to change your day, how that's going to change your week. So I just want to thank those of you who are here. Melinda, so glad you're here, and Maria, as well as Yvette and Charlotte. It's so good to see you guys. And I wanted to ask you guys a favor. If any of this has resonated with you, if any of this you've really liked, I just appreciate hearing from you. I'd love your feedback. I'd love your comments. So just put some comments in the thread or private message me if you'd rather tell me privately. Totally fine. I'd just love to hear how this talk served you guys. And I'm sending you lots of love today, and I'm inviting you to love yourself and embrace who you are today. You are very, very loved. Have a wonderful day. Okay, bye.